ask y'all a question. If you had to choose between accepting a belief of a person who is immoral or accepting the values that God wants you to accept, which one would you choose? Now, if that's true, why is our country the way it is today? How many of you vote? Of those of you who vote, when you vote, how many vote for someone who shares your worldviews, your beliefs? How many of you vote for someone who says all the right things during the election? Now, how many of you don't vote at all? If you raised your hand during the last two, you may be part of the problem in this country. Hi, my name is Dan Burton. I'm currently a student at Liberty University School of Religion. 19 years ago, I took an oath when I joined the Marine Corps. I swore to defend the country against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. When I took that oath, the last words I said were, "So help me God." This day and age, the word God and government are taboo together. It's something we don't see anymore. It's shunned on, sadly enough. The truth is that many Christians have lost sight of their faith and core values. In the last several decades, our nation has been spiraling down in a spiral motion. In this spiral, a lot of our elected officials are pushing for legislation on issues that we now consider to be socially acceptable. But the truth is that Christians make one of the largest groups in this nation. Yet day in and day out, our elected officials are pushing for legislation that goes against the very foundation of our faith. Today I'm going to be discussing how many Christians have lost sight of their faith and their values. How they have allowed what is socially accepted to be changed into something that goes totally against what Christianity stands for. I'll do this by addressing the fact that the very officials who are pushing these laws are elected by the majority. But if Christians make up the majority, how can that be? The Bible is a historical text. It gives an account of both past mistakes and lessons that we must learn in order to prosper. By using its guidances, we can be reminded of the way God wants us to live and the consequences when we don't follow. Now, every day we hear of new laws and bills that are being pushed or passed for what is considered to be socially acceptable. A big one this last few weeks have been same-sex marriage. Another big one in the last several weeks has been abortion. As time has passed over the past several decades, the sinful agendas have slowly been introduced and pushed into our culture. Many Christians have just simply lost sight of what is right in the eyes of God and have agreed to what others feel is right for them. If we look at Mark chapter 8, paragraph 38, it states, "If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes to his Father's glory with the holy angels." Now, a religious landscape survey taken by the Pew Forum shows that 78% of Americans consider themselves to be Christians. How can a number be that high when the officials who are elected for the people by the people are passing such agenda? David Olson, founder of the American Church Research Project, stated that in 2007, only 17% of Americans were going to church on any given Sunday. Now, that's a low number. 78% of this country considers themselves to be Christians, but only 17% were going to church on any given Sunday. That number was down from 20% just several years earlier. You know, back in 1983, President Reagan gave a very good speech. It was titled "The Evil Empire." During that speech, President Reagan really focused on the path America needed to take, how it needed to stay on God's course. But during that speech, he also quoted some words from C.S. Lewis. He stated, "The greatest evil is not done in the sordid dens of crime that Dickens loved to paint. It's not even done in concentration camps or labor camps. In those we see the final results. It is conceived and ordered in a clear-carpeted, warm, well-lit room by quiet men with white collars, cut fingernails, smooth-shaved faces, who never even have to raise a voice." Moving on, I want to point out how easily it is for God to take away everything that he blesses us with. You know, the Bible is a detailed historical document. Throughout it, we can find stories of nations that were once great and fell from God's grace. The Bible is also the best textbook that was ever written. Throughout it, we can find lessons on how God expects us to live in a manner that is consistent with love, compassion, and His values. In 1 Kings chapter 11, paragraph 6, we see that Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Paragraph 11 continues on that because you insist on doing these things and have not kept with the covenant rules that I have given you, I will surely tear your kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Now this is just one story in the Bible, but if you read the Bible, you will see time and time again, nations that fall from God's grace fall from greatness. In Revelations chapter 21, paragraph 8, John writes, "But as for the cowards, unbelievers, detestable persons, murderers, sexually immoral, and these who practice magic spells, idol worshippers, and those who lie in their place, they will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur." We must become a nation of moral status if we want to become a nation that is great. Now, America prospered because it was bedrocked on Christian values of our founding fathers. Over the past several decades, our nation as a whole has lost sight of these values. As a result, we have found ourselves in the current turmoil that we are in. We have placed leaders into office who have twisted our values, saying it is for the overall good of us. But God is the original good. You know, we've all heard the saying, history has a way of repeating itself. That's been proven. It's a proven fact. I just got done telling you that the Bible is a historical book. Going through those pages of time, you can see time and time again how as nations have fallen from God's grace, they have fallen altogether. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting there saying, when did this happen? You're probably thinking he had some good points, but you know, it just didn't happen overnight. It's true. If you look at an article written called The Moral Decline of America by Ben Rast, he used an analogy saying that if you put a frog into a boiling pot of water, it's going to jump right out. But if you put that frog into a cool pot of water and you light that and start cooking it, that frog will be overcome. Right now, we're like that frog in a cool pot of water that is warming up, and pretty soon we're going to be in the fiery lake. What we need to do to prevent this is we need to replant our values and call upon all Christians to stand for their faith. In doing so, we must only elect leaders who share our core values. If we do this, we'll be able to restore our nation to the great that it once was. I appreciate you for your time. Y'all have a good night.